in Europe, there are no longer subsidies. They have been phased out. But in fact, the same amounts of subsidies have found their way in insurance premiums and also in environmental protection laws. So that is to make the rules work for you. And I think Africans have to also do the same when they negotiate in trade on any other front. They have to be smart enough to make the rules work for them. And for that, you need sophistication, and you need to practice not crude protectionism. That is no longer available for the reasons I just mentioned, like, for instance, overregulated trade agreements, intellectual property, etc. But you can make the rules work for you if you are smart enough to position on particular specific areas. Like, for instance, the way you define rules of origin in a trade agreement can make a whole difference how you position yourself into the growing markets. So I really believe that one of the problems that Africa has had in terms of its negotiations on trade has been giving too much importance to trade negotiations with partners before sorting out its intra-Africa trade prospects. Because just in terms of value, intra-Africa trade boosting can bring an increase in our economies that is quite significant, no less than 60 billion additional. Whereas, some of the benefits that we may have on agreements being signed with partners do not bring that much value. For instance, as we know, just the agreement being negotiated, the economic partnership agreement between ECOWAS, the West Africa region, and Europe, which is the most advanced of all African sub-regions, officially it will bring Africa about 6.5 billion in a period of about 5 years. Well, 6.5 billion looks a lot of money, and it's very interesting and good. But in fact, in the last 5, that region got on ODA 8.5. So it's getting less for negotiating something that has to be rather good because you are getting less. I think one of the issues that we really need to deal, and indirectly is the question from Ambassador from Mozambique, is the issue of contract negotiation. Because when you negotiate contracts in a position of strength, like for instance, Mozambique is poised together with Tanzania to become the 4th largest producer of liquefied gas. This is going to happen very fast. Now, this means basically you can make negotiations happen in such a way that the various interested parties in such an enormous potential from the very beginning are obliged to do more than just doing liquefied gas. They can be part of a process of industrialization in Mozambique through local content, through value addition of many kinds. Also, some of the infrastructure that is put in place for mineral extraction should not follow the colonial model, which is, you extract the product from point A and you do the infrastructure straight to a port, and then from the port, that's it. When in fact, on the way from point A to the port, you can create enormous deviations of the most direct route, like we practice on travel at the UN, to make sure that, it's not the most direct route, it's rather a more sort of, in appearance, chaotic route, but one that is going to create the possibilities for local markets to thrive. Because, you are integrating the various sub-regions that are enclaved into the production line. On the question raised by also Cape Verde about the energy component and its links to competitiveness, absolutely true. Africa invests right now roughly about $25 billion on energy projects. This is quite important in relation to just 5 years ago, but is very inadequate. Our needs would be for an annual investment of about 50 billion, just twice what we are doing, in order for us to catch up very quickly. But what is interesting is that some countries that are leading this effort, they are very much aware and investing on renewable energies. For instance, the discovery of geothermal capabilities in East Africa, but also wind, solar, and other sources of renewable energy, not to mention the fact that we have also cleaner possibilities of traditional fossil fuels like gas, are creating the opportunities for Africa really to be an energy leader. The problem of being energy leader is that in today's world, energy is going to be much more a relationship with Asia dependency than it was with Western dependency. Because the global market is changing very fast. The US is going to start exporting energy in about 4 years. This creates a completely different global market, and they can take care of some of the European needs, which basically leaves us Africa, to produce energy, not necessarily for the West, but maybe for ourselves. And that's what, we have to look into. The possibilities of the African market are immense for all the reasons I've explained before. And of course, the opportunities of a connection with Asia continue to be quite important. So we need to look into these possibilities. And insofar as the issues of industrialization concerning small island states is concerned, more than other countries because of their size and their vulnerability in terms of economic positioning, they have to focus on a very specific niche. This niche has to be found country by country. Mauritius certainly has done it for a while with textiles and then migrated to IT components. I can see, for instance, islands like Cape Verde very well positioned because of geographical strategic positioning to produce a certain type of components that will be important because of the more sophisticated financial market that exists in the country that requires for certain types of industrial production that are small scale but extremely sophisticated to take advantage of financial markets. So it's a question of making sure that it is done in a way that is organic. I'm very pleased that Cape Verde is going to have a national forum where I will be participating that is going to discuss precisely how to do it in Cape Verde. We have a similar process going on in the Comoros, and I am also very much aware of the efforts that Seychelles is doing in the blue economy. That is another way of making sure that we take advantage of the ocean. On the questions raised par Monsieur le représentant permanent de la Tunisie, je voulais dire qu'on n'a pas fait une catégorisation des pays en tant que tels, mais le rapport se réfère à des transitions politiques dans certains pays, notamment en ce qui concerne la Tunisie, Libye, Égypte, comme un des facteurs qui peuvent avoir une influence dans la croissance. Ça ne veut pas dire qu'on est en train de faire des extrapolations qui sont complètement dénuées de contenu technique. En effet, il faut dire que ce rapport il est présenté conjointement avec l'Union africaine. Donc il y a déjà un sanctionnement, si vous voulez, politique de la part de l'Union africaine. Mais à part cela, nous voyons vraiment le rôle de la CA comme une boîte à idées, un think tank. Donc nous devons provoquer un peu le débat. Quelquefois, on dit des choses qui, à notre avis, peuvent stimuler cette discussion, mais on n'est pas tenu nécessairement de suivre dans la rigueur les résolutions du Conseil de sécurité, etc. Ça nous empêcherait vraiment de faire notre travail, de provoquer et stimuler le débat. Et je pense que c'est l'esprit avec lequel on a fait un certain nombre de remarques. Mais comme vous pouvez le constater, en ce qui concerne exactement la Tunisie, ce n'est pas vraiment une extrapolation en tant que telle. C'est plutôt un constat du fait que la transition peut affecter un certain nombre de données de performance macroéconomique. Et c'est effectivement en train de se réaliser dans le cas des pays de l'Afrique du Nord qui ont eu à subir ces transitions politiques. Merci.
Thank you, Carlos. At this stage, we have 5 more requests to take the floor. May I now invite the distinguished permanent representative of Congo, Ambassador Bali, s'il vous plaît.